Good afternoon. I'm Rosie Cepeda, and I'm the Director of Media, Governmental Relations, and Marketing for City College of San Francisco, working out of the Chancellor's office, and I will be your MC for today. So welcome, everyone. We begin today with a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we are on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. As the indigenous stewards of this land, and in accordance with their traditions, the Ramaytush Ohlone have never ceded, lost, nor forgotten their responsibilities as the caretakers of this place, as well as for all peoples who reside in their traditional territory. As guests, we recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homeland. We wish to pay our respects by acknowledging the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush Ohlone community, and by affirming their sovereign rights as First Peoples. Today we begin with our first speaker, Interim Chancellor Diana Gonzalez. Interim Chancellor Diana Gonzalez has been a public servant and a dedicated steward of public education for over 20 years. In her extensive experience as an executive, she has brought collaborative and innovative practices. Her areas of proficiency include human resources, leadership, labor negotiations, employee relations, strategic planning, organizational development, training, and years as a chief negotiator. Please help me welcome the Interim Chancellor for City College of San Francisco, Diana Gonzalez.
Thank you very much, Rosie. Good afternoon, students, faculty, staff, and administrators, and welcome to our event today to acknowledge City College of San Francisco winning the National Association Community College Entrepreneurial College of the Year Award. I want to start out by thanking the NACCE for this incredible honor. I want to point out that City College was chosen from among the 115 California community colleges and over 800 community colleges nationwide. According to the Vera Institute for Justice, San Francisco has almost 100,000 entrepreneurs, and of those, almost 160,000 immigrants make up the student population from kindergarten to college. Entrepreneurship is at the center of the spirit and energy of our city. Despite the high cost of living in San Francisco, immigrants and transplants from other U.S. states come to San Francisco with the sole purpose to start a business, and this is due to two reasons. One, and this is where we come in, education, and opportunity with networks. For most students in our city, and especially those who are immigrants with a goal to be innovative with ideas that will resolve current and future problems, attending a four-year university is just not an option. This is where our remarkable college, City College of San Francisco, comes in. City College fulfills a critical need in our diverse communities to offer opportunities for self-employment, technology, innovation, and collaborations with other like-minded students. Our Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation is only 3 years old and has already made such an incredible impact with our students and our Bay Area entrepreneurship. And this is thanks to some of the other speakers you're going to hear from today, Dean Lee and Vivian Faustino. Today, I am also honored to sign on behalf of City College the Presidents for Entrepreneur Pledge. Thank you very much. Oh, and here I go signing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Interim Chancellor Gonzalez. And we have a signed document which will be framed. Now for our next speaker and guest coming to us all the way from Minnesota. That is Dr. Rebecca Corbin. Dr. Rebecca Corbin is President and CEO of the National Association for Community College Entrepreneurship, otherwise known as NACCE, a leading nonprofit membership organization dedicated to increasing entrepreneurship offerings and thinking at over 300 community colleges across the country. The key word here is thinking, because you need a special way of thinking to be an entrepreneur. She has forged several new partnerships with national foundations to advance STEM education, ecosystem mapping, and intellectual property curriculum knowledge in community colleges across the United States. Prior to NACCE, Rebecca served as Vice President of Institutional Advancement and Executive Director of the BCC Foundation at Burlington County College. With her leadership, a new workforce development initiative at BCC was successfully launched. So at this time, we are going to Zoom her in. And one of the things I do want to mention as well, while that's happening, is Dr. Corbin also oversaw the institutional advancement for the Foundation for New Jersey Public Broadcasting. So let's give a warm San Francisco applause to Dr. Rebecca Corbin, and we will view her through Zoom.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. It's my pleasure to join you. And on behalf of the NACCE Board of Trustees, our staff, and our hundreds of members around the country, we thank Rosie for organizing this, your Chancellor Gonzalez for her wonderful leadership, and certainly Dr. Vivian Faustino for nominating your college for this award. And I want to share just a few remarks from us at NACCE. As was mentioned, it's really the thinking in an entrepreneurial way that sets one on the path to success, we believe. You've seen that through your center as somebody who oversaw the selection process for this year's award. It doesn't escape me that some of the things that you've accomplished are relatively new things. Your center is, as you mentioned, just 3 years old, but you have accomplished so many things in such a short amount of time. Among them being one of the winners of NACCE's Radcliffe Pitch for the Trades competition. I also had the privilege of seeing your colleagues pitch in action, which brought back funding and excitement and opportunity. So, as I just have a few minutes to share with you, I wanted to just sort of walk you through a couple of steps. This is some of what we do at NACCE to really help support our colleagues that include chancellors, presidents, faculty around the country. And it really is that mindset that Rosie spoke about. And as you see behind me on the wall, it all starts with bird in hand. And when I think of how magnificent the city of San Francisco is, I also think of the challenges that you're facing along with everyone else across the country as we all make our way through the pandemic. But as an entrepreneurial community, you have a very entrepreneurial chancellor and faculty and staff. You look at challenge, sometimes problems, as opportunities. Those are your bird in hand. The second thing that you do, you can see on that chart, is the crazy quilt. And as we're all celebrating this week and certainly yesterday, Indigenous Peoples Day and some of the really important reflections shared at the beginning of this program, we remember the people that brought us to this place. We remember how rich and satisfying and successful we can be when we lean into diversity, when we take that time to get to know each other, whether it's creating a business or a nonprofit or a vibrant college community as you're doing. Importantly, there is also this concept of affordable loss. Anything that we take in an entrepreneurial way, we know that there's both risks and benefits. And I think it really speaks to the testament of your entire community, what you have done in the last several years that have not only earned you recognition around the country, but really that sense of community that you have. And that doesn't go without the step of the lemonade principle, of course, which is learning from failure, knowing that when we try something new, when we endeavor to learn, we're not always going to succeed, but that's part of the process of being an entrepreneur. And finally, a step that we have in entrepreneurial thought and what we call effectuation is pilot in the plane. What do we have control over? And I applaud your team for coming together today to celebrate not only the wonderful faculty and leadership in your dean and your chancellor and your government affairs leadership, but also to think about what are you going to do in the future? Because that's where we like to occupy that space. So I want to share with you in just a minute that we have left what your chancellor has signed on to committing to this pledge, which is so special to us. There's really 5 pillars of the Presidents for Entrepreneurship pledge, which also includes a growing number of chancellors. The first one is to form teams to focus on entrepreneurship. And I think you're going to speak about this later in the program. But having leaders around your campuses and your communities that have that sort of not only the license to create new things, but knowing that that support comes from the top, that it's valued, that it's important. Secondly, it's connecting with entrepreneurs in your community. And I know that you all do that so well with CIE, with your Center on Entrepreneurship and some of the initiatives that you have in motion. Thirdly, is collaborating with industry in your region. And, it was mentioned earlier in the program, despite the cost of living, that many, many companies and entrepreneurs are choosing to locate in your city. Why? Because of your bird in hand, beautiful assets, the diversity of your city, and the support that you have at your community college. The fourth pillar of the Presidents for Entrepreneurship pledge is focusing on business and job creation, which is what you're celebrating today. And finally, the most important aspect, perhaps, is really sharing stories through events and through the media. I was so honored to be joined by your colleagues in Minneapolis for our annual convention, where they really accepted this award and really accepted the mantle of being the leading college in the country. And so I just, on behalf of all of us at NACCE, I want to thank you so much for being the lead institution that you are, having the leaders that you have, having your dedication to serve students, and for joining us as part of the NACCE community. So thank you for inviting me, and I can't wait to hear the remarks yet to come as part of the program.
Thank you, Dr. Rebecca Corbin. I really like to give her another round of applause, because if she could be here, she would be here. And thank you so much for your great remarks. Our next speaker, who traveled to Minnesota to accept this prestigious award, is the dean of our downtown campus, Dr. Jessie Lee. Dr. Jessie Lee's career reflects more than 25 years of dedicated service, uplifting students to achieve their educational goals and empowering leaders by facilitating learning opportunities and trainings to enable them to be positive change agents. He has been in the California community college system since 2008 and has the perspective of working at 2 community college districts. Currently, he serves as Dean of the Downtown Campus, as I mentioned, and also known as School of Business, Child Development, Culinary Arts, Fashion, Horticulture, Floristry, as well as Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation at CCSF. I think he's busy. His professional service includes serving on the Executive Committee of the Association of California Community College Administrators, also known as ACCA Board. He's the chair of ACCA's Management Development Commission and co-chair of the ACCA Mentor Program. Dr. Lee is passionate about motivating others to live their best life and do their best work. He earned a PhD in Higher Education Administration from the University of Michigan and MED in Counselor Education from Penn State University and a BA in Social Ecology from UC Irvine. Please welcome Dr. Jessie Lee.
Good afternoon. My name is Jesse Lee, and it is great to be here with you all today. It is a great honor to actually be able to work with an amazing group of faculty, staff, administrators, students, and student leaders over the last 4 years. And again, I know that our journey is just starting. I do have several remarks. The most important thing to really acknowledge is that it's been a great 4 years. We receive funding from the Strong Workforce Program, SWP, for 3 years, and we are continuing this work. Again, I want to acknowledge the SWP folks who have been really, truly supportive of our effort. And again, I also want to acknowledge our 2 business department chairs, Leo Bello, who is currently our business department chair, and Mia Rosali, who started this journey with us. The one person I really want to acknowledge is Vivian Faustino. You'll hear her in a few minutes. Without Vivian's effort and steadfast leadership, without her pulling herself up and just making things happen, without her being really an entrepreneur and a perfect example for our students, we would not be where we are today. So I certainly want to spend at least the first minute talking about where we are, what we've done, and certainly where we're going next. The most important thing to say is that everything starts with an entrepreneurial mindset. That's what this is about. That's what we are providing, and that's what students are getting. They are getting an entrepreneurial mindset through their education, through the workshops that we provide, through all these other opportunities. So let me just list a few. The one thing that we started here at CCSF, and it's going on every semester, is a business pitch competition. We invited venture capitalists, we invited all these founders, we invited all these amazing folks to really come and really evaluate our students' pitches. And again, because of Vivian's connection and network through the Bay Area, we're able to get judges and folks from all across the world to participate in the business pitch competition. In fact, I should highlight that one of the students who won last year's business pitch competition, you can check out her app on the App Store. It is called Dreamly, D-R-E-A-M-L-Y. It is a beta version now in the App Store, and she is working to make it an amazing app. It is a mental health productivity app, so I want to give props to Melanie Tam. She is truly an example of the students that we are trying to serve. Again, when we started 4 years ago, it was all about trying to make CCSF the resource hub for aspiring entrepreneurs. And I believe we have done that, and we have definitely exceeded expectations. So again, the fact that we're able to help our students navigate through this entrepreneurial landscape is pretty remarkable. Again, we have been very successful in terms of working with other folks. In fact, we partner with Stanford to allow our faculty to take courses with Stanford and to learn what they do with regard to design thinking. We have, again, wrote new curriculum. We have now a very, very, very popular Intro to Entrepreneurship course. Vivian is the faculty, and she's been amazing. We have a full house. And also the second course that we're offering is called the Applied Design Thinking. As you know, is not just conceptually what is design thinking, but how do you apply it? How do you put it to work? How do you sort of use it to help you if you want to be an entrepreneur? So that's just one thing that we're doing in terms of the curriculum end. In terms of the other things that we've done, again, in a short 3 years, we have gone through the curriculum process to now have 6 entrepreneurial tracks. And we have 2 more on the way. So again, we have created a certificate of achievements for students across discipline, across the college, and we're going to do more to prepare our students to be in the various industries. The other thing I want to quickly highlight, again, I know I have a lot to share, is that sometimes this collaborative spirit gets lost, but we keep it alive. And I think we keep it alive by, again, working with folks across the district. And another example that I really want to point out is that we have created this Entrepreneur in Residence program, which is remarkable. Again, we have volunteer founders, entrepreneurs who are very, very successful. They're willing to mentor and coach our students. Again, this is great, and we are going to continue this list of entrepreneur in residence so that our students are able to work with them, learn from them, and of course, pick their brain. So again, that's just a few other things I wanted to note. And again, I know my time is coming up, but again, it's really because of us working together as a team. It's us believing in our students. It's us wanting to give back to our students. It's us wanting to make a difference in the Bay Area by helping our students, right? Whether they want to go into go into the gig economy, whether they want to be a small business owner, if they want to, be a founder, whatever it is. We have so many different ways to help our students, and that is something that we're most proud of. You're going to hear from Vivian in a moment, and you'll also hear from one of our students. He has been super successful, and we just want him to continue his journey just like we want every student to continue their journey. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much to our Dean of our downtown campus and Dr. Jessie Lee. Before I bring up the founder of our Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, I do want to just remind everyone, you go to www.ccsf.edu entrepreneurship, and you can go there and see who our entrepreneurs and residents are, and connect with our office, and we hope to hear from you. So our next speaker is Vivian Faustino Paulium. Vivian teaches entrepreneurship, international business, and marketing. She has 20 years of banking experience in Asia and North America, and has served in senior management positions in global financial institutions prior to her career shift to academia. Vivian has been an entrepreneur who started several businesses, one of them being an outsourcing business, while raising 3 children as a single parent and building a corporate career. Passionate about education that is accessible and inclusive, Vivian dedicated her volunteer work in teaching at refugee camps across the world through Jesuit Worldwide Learning. She founded the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation at City College of San Francisco to make entrepreneurship education accessible to underrepresented and marginalized communities in the Bay Area. She also teaches part-time at the University of San Francisco. Please help me welcome Vivian Faustino Paulium.
Thank you, Rosie, and good afternoon, everyone. Before I start with my little story, I really would like to take this opportunity to thank a lot of people who made this happen. Sometimes I always say, oh, it's because of Vivian, but the truth is it always takes a village. I wouldn't be here without the support of wonderful people who made things happen. My staff, my team at the Center for Entrepreneurship, the students, the Entrepreneurship Club, who really supported us, especially during our very first few months that we were struggling and bootstrapping. Well, we're still bootstrapping up to now. And also faculty, Strong Workforce Program, John Halpy and SAC, our chair, Leo, and of course our dean, Jessie Lee, the Chancellor, Marketing Department, all of those, Tom Bogle, a lot of people who supported, and more importantly, the industry partners. We were able to bring here a lot of those resources because of their selflessness to give back to the community. I could not name many of them because there's really a lot, but many of those also were made through the generosity of NACCE. So like Intuit, Mickelson, Intellectual Property, community business organizations, all of those helped us really build this center. Probably it's nice also for me to share my story, and that really is something that informs my teaching philosophy, and also what's my inspiration in bringing Center for Entrepreneurship here at City College and run it the way it is running today. So as you all know, my name is Vivian Faustino, also known as Miss V or Prof V to many of my students. I'd like to share a little bit about my story that explains, again, my mission for starting the center. I identify as a Filipino American, an immigrant, a person of color with an accent who is out on a mission. I hope my own story of grit and determination inspires our students, especially those who are struggling to find their voice and seeking for a platform to be seen and be heard in a space that is predominantly occupied by white males. So what was my story? Well, I was 16 when I got married. A marriage that was forced on me because of the cultural stigma of a young woman who made a bad decision of spending the night with her boyfriend and other friends for fear of coming home because it was past her curfew hours. I was weak to give in to that societal pressure, but I was 16. As a female who fell into this predicament, I was seen as a total failure. There's no hope in place for this young lady to make something out of herself. My own father simply said, "You're done." But I have aspirations. I have dreams, and I am not going to just simply give up on them. And more importantly, I'd like to prove my father that he was wrong. And that's the fighter in me. Fast forward, my teenage marriage fell apart, and I am now 20-year-old, single mother of 3 adorable kids. Birth control is also taboo during those years in a predominantly Catholic nation. But this time, at the time, I was stronger than I was when I was 16. So entrepreneurship saved me. Imagine raising 3 kids, going to school, and trying to reach those aspirations that I had as a young girl. My entrepreneurial mindset got me to accomplish things I never thought I could. I started as a trader. Anything like chicharon, that's one of my bestsellers, that fits in my old beaten Volkswagen to sell to my coworkers. Then I started a series of businesses from food and beverage to on-demand office cleaning services. Yes, I was one of the pioneering founders of the gig economy, although apps and smartphone don't exist yet at the time. My entrepreneurial mindset also helped me in practicing corporate entrepreneurship. I was able to introduce frugal innovations in my corporate career. As we all know in the industry, regardless how big you are, marketing dollars is always limited. So creativity and innovation are my allies to really bring about innovative and disruptive services in a homogeneous industry like banking. That really helped me in my accelerated rise in a corporate ladder. I was able to complete my undergraduate and graduate degrees through various scholarships. And that is also with the help of some entrepreneurial thinking, where if you think about entrepreneurship, asking, remember when you're asking for funding, asking is one of the major traits that founders should learn. So I practice it. And that's why I ended up with all those scholarships to fund my aspirations to complete my degrees. These little successes empowered me to believe in myself. This snapshot of who I am are the reasons why I am very passionate about entrepreneurship. It is not only about starting a business. It's a very, very wrong notion of thinking that entrepreneurship is about small business. It has evolved tremendously from those years that its association is only small business. In my case, it boosted my self-confidence. It gave me the opportunity to prove that my ideas matter. This is so validating for a woman who was hopelessly seeking approval and acceptance from her own father. The Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation's mission is to make entrepreneurship inclusive and accessible to non-traditional community college learners who are, like me, immigrants and underrepresented groups who could benefit from this entrepreneurial mindset. It is actually a life skill. With the explosion of entrepreneurial opportunities around us, I'd like to make sure that women of color, those with accents, and those without a strong pedigree, such as Harvard education, can also participate and reap the benefits of this growing social movement. And lastly, I'd like the Center for Entrepreneurship in our program to advocate for the change in measuring learning outcomes of our students. It should not be limited to certificate completion, but must take into account the economic and social impact that students' ventures create for themselves in the society at large. So what does the future look like for CEI? As Jessie mentioned, we have several students who already brought their ideas to market. And Kevin will talk more about his interesting and very successful startup. But using CEI as a platform, I'm hoping that our students acquire not only knowledge and skills in entrepreneurship. As Paulo Freire brilliantly articulated in his work on the pedagogy of the oppressed, education empowers people to defend themselves from oppression, to identify opportunities and mitigate risk, to challenge status quo that restricts their growth and development, and to embolden themselves to rise above adversity. Interestingly, when you reflect on those words by Paulo Freire, Isn't it that's what entrepreneurship is all about? Thank you so much, everyone.
Let's give Vivian another round of applause for that very compelling story. And this month, ending in a couple of days, is Hispanic Heritage Month. And it is also National Filipino American Heritage Month. So we pride ourselves at City College to make sure that we lift the voices, especially of those who come to this country to make a better future for themselves. Just very briefly, immigrant communities, not only in our city, but throughout the United States, could come into community and completely revive a community because they bring the skills that they know and they start businesses, and that is what they know. So this next student really exemplifies that immigrant story, the Latino story. And we're going to hear via Zoom from student Kevin Posadas, and as Vivian mentioned, has been very successful of already bringing to market his idea. So Kevin, we're going to set you up, and then you're going to start, so give us about 30 seconds or so. And a round of applause.
All right. How's it going, everybody? As you guys know, my name is Kevin Posadas. I am the founder of GREEN. That's spelled with an EA, which is part of a larger acronym that stands for Generating Real Environmental Action Now. I'm really happy to be here with all you guys and be able to present my story at the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation and with NACCE. So my story begins with going to City College in 2018, the fall semester, with an idea of a company that could do three things: increase our recycling rate, it could also educate people about the benefits of the recycling, and it can also make people extra money. I found the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, where I took all the classes, I did what was required of me, and I took from it, the most important thing I took from it was the entrepreneurial thinking, the entrepreneurial mindset, which is, finding new ways to see things and challenges, to overcome them and make your service or your product successful. At the end of the semester, I participated in a pitch competition, like was shared, and that helped me to learn a lot about myself, my strengths, my weaknesses, and propelled me to pitch at NACCE in a national competition that happened in, I think, October of 2019, where we placed third with City College with my concept. And that's still one of our proudest moments to this day. Since then, we took that concept that was merely just a concept at the time. We began beta testing and implementing our service with establishments and restaurants and homes. And we've actually managed to divert over 3.5 tons of waste from entering our oceans or natural environments, which has saved enough power to power over 80 homes for 1 month, and is the equal amount of energy that is produced by 110 barrels of crude oil, and is also, we've diverted 110 cubic yards of pollution from entering our landfills. So something that we're very proud about, and we feel like this couldn't have happened without the help of the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation and NACCE. Our application is soon to be released on our on an app store very soon, and all of this is thanks to Vivian and to Jesse so much. So yeah, I'm really happy to present for you guys today, and I'm a huge advocate of the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation at City College because they've helped me do a lot. So with that, I'd just like to say thank you so much, and you can look us up on Instagram at Green, GREAN, and I'm really thankful for the opportunity. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Kevin, y muchas felicidades. So at this time, as we had mentioned, we had two of our City College family members go to Minnesota to accept this very prestigious award. And for the sake of all of you to witness it and for us to document it as well, I would like to bring back Chancellor Diana Gonzalez, who's going to come to this side, and then sharing, really bringing the award to the institution from Minnesota will be Dr. Lee and Vivian. So, Chancellor, if you can come up. Yeah, mask, and then you'll mask.
Why don't we show that off? Oh. So I just want to thank you both, and especially you, Vivian, for sharing your story. You had me almost in tears. So, and Kevin, thank you too. These stories are so critical for people to hear. One of the messages that I want to start now, and we're going to continue to advocate, is how woefully underfunded our efforts are. And so, thank you for reaching out to the businesses that continue to support your endeavors, and we look forward to further partnering with our businesses within the city and the city and county of San Francisco. We look forward to continued support. Congratulations, I'm so proud of you both. And so on behalf of the college, thank you.
Thank you.
So before we end, I really want to acknowledge our incredible production team. We actually had 2 press conferences in less than a week, and they are just amazing. First of all, thank you to Susan Bachman. So let's give Susan a round of applause. Our classified are literally the engine of this college. Also to Nicholas Wang. We are always appreciative of the students and staff that come from BEMA. So let's give BEMA a round of applause. We have had a lot of graduates move on to great opportunities. Also to our director for IT, Sean Yee, who was able to, Dr. Rebecca Corbin, bring you and our student to connect here, and the power of technology. Thank you, Sean. And a couple of people to acknowledge. I really want to acknowledge our 3 vice chancellors here today. You can't see them because of social distancing and it's happening inside, but they're here. So I would really like to acknowledge our vice chancellor for student affairs, Lisa Cooper-Wilkins. Our vice chancellor for academic affairs, Tom Bogle. And our Vice Chancellor for Finance, Dr. John Alameen. And last but not least, this would not be possible with the amazing support that we have for our chairs and the rest of administrative staff. So I would really like to acknowledge Mr. Bella, who's in the room. We can give him a round of applause. Zach Lamb, and our dean for this beautiful space, Cynthia Dewar, and also dean for workforce, very critical at this moment. And like the chancellor said, we are the engine for creating jobs in San Francisco. And thank you, Dean John Halpin. So on that note, thank you to our speakers. Thank you for joining us today in our live stream press conference. Share it. We in City Notes next, tomorrow. You'll get to see the link as well in your Share It. And the other thing is, please be sure to visit us at ccsf.edu, especially our one-stop shop for all things students, which is my CCSF page right at the top. Thank you so much for joining us. Until the next time, go Rams!